apart from its topical satirical offerings on the week's news, it has also provided a much-needed training ground for new comedy writing. Uniquely amongst radio and television programmes, Weekending holds regular meetings which any interested writer can attend. The programme boasts such distinguished former writers as Douglas Adams, Griff Rhys-Jones and Splitting Image's John Lloyd. The Late Show followed last week's programme from the beginning to the end, with a little help from some of its more famous graduates.
If you're stuck for an opening for a sketch, one way of doing it is to use the phrase, "Have you seen this in the papers?"
You can just fall back on the old standby character saying, "You wanted to see me, Prime Minister."
To see this report in the paper, Prime Minister, which covers all a multitude of sins as well.
Some people know the rules instinctively, but I needed to be taught them.
Yeah.
So you come along here and you're with other writers, you learn discipline and structure, your beginnings, middles, ends, and once you know that, you can start discarding it.
I learned about writing fast and not panicking.
The simple ability to, if in doubt, be funny rather than clever, really.
Yeah.
Nothing. As I said before, I think I've learned what to discard, which is puns and formula writing.
I did pick up how to develop character in a very brief space of time by what they said and what they did.
Last week's show was really good, and I've had lots of people saying how good they thought last week's show was, so well done everyone. So that's good. Right, let's begin the Soviet Union. Has anybody any thoughts on this? Robert?
I'd like to do Dorby as King Lear, as the man who gave away a country and then went berserk when no one would give it to him back again.
Right. And who would you have as Goneril and Regan?
I thought of having his three daughters, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia.
And who's Cordelia?
Because that's been going on for like the extra day. I thought we could do sort of like 12 Angry Men, sort of locked in, you know, the jury's out sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like the hardliners.
Yeah, I got a half-baked idea for you. Just Gorby as a gambler playing roulette. Of course, it's Russian roulette. Because the whole thing being a gamble, it's he could lose everything.
Gorby on how to actually run a multi-party democracy, and he gets a tape from Thatcher telling him how to do it, how you must have elected by a minority, a secret service it's not accountable to anyone. And it could be like a Mission Impossible format.
Peter?
I'd like to do it as Gorby having some sort of party in his house. And these people, he's trying to get rid of them, like the troublemakers you get at parties when you can't get rid of them and they're out staying there.
This mass demonstration.
You know.
So I thought I'd like to do Gorby and Yeltsin and Ligachev as three men in a leaky boat. You know, you've got this little boat merrily carrying on, all of a sudden this violent tide starts to carry it forward. So Gorby says, OK, you know, we'll go with it, but let's keep the oars in the water. And Yeltsin says, no, take the oars out, all is sunk. And, you know, Ligachev's saying, oh, my God, let's go backwards. And they're all accusing each other of rocking the boat.
I don't like these winds of change. They're blowing in a westerly direction.
Jäger, you're rocking the boat. Calm down.
I will not.
Quick, before we go under, let us dump all old non-essential articles. And one springs to mind.
Help! The company overboard.
I think I'll go with Barry's idea on that one, largely because it seems to me that we're making more points in it. I fear the other ones are sacrificing the story for the format, really.
I sent off some sketches to the BBC when I was at college. And they said, these are crap, why don't you try and write them for Weekending? So I did.
It's a complete mystery to me, looking back on what I wrote in those days, how anyone would have ever detected any germ of potential, or indeed what I write nowadays.
It's funny you saying that, actually.
Before you in general panic to get a show out each week, I mean, as a producer, how much of your job did you regard it as being to encourage writers, actually, to
You've got to turn the programme around in 3 days. You know, short of being a saint.
Yes.
You know, say, you, so-and-so, you who can hardly write your own name, no, you take 75% of this programme. I will merely go into my room and start taking some strong tranquilizers. And I'm sure everything will work out. You can't.
Education. 30% of the work done in schools is poor or very poor. Also, 33% of teachers want to leave their jobs. 2/3 of polytechnics are in poor accommodation.
I wanted to do Goodbye, Mr. Chips.
Never mind, Mr. Chips. When I grow up, I'll make sure that everyone receives a decent education.
Bless you, my boy. Tell me your name ere I depart.
John McGregor. Goodbye, Mr. Chips.
Simon, how are you planning to structure your skit?
sort of head-to-headish, basically.
Oh, dear me.
Kiss of deathish?
The formats in the end were like a sort of comfort thing, you know, there's like a security blanket.
Yeah.
You'd say, right, we'll whack the obituary format on that story. We'll
Using format 2 for railways for weekending would be Thomas the Bankrupt engine with Cecil the Pratt controller.
Puffity puff, your fares are going up from Scotland to Kent by 50%.
All of a sudden, Thomas's driver slammed the brakes on. He'd seen something obstructive on the line.
Oh, no, it's Cecil, the Pratt controller.
Cried the driver.
We must be in trouble. What's that signal he's giving us?
Looks like 2 fingers.
Replied Thomas.
There were a lot of formulas now.
There was a lot of gongs.
You wanted to see me, Prime Minister.
You wanted to see me, Captain?
I thought a sort of romance between Cole and Modrow. Sort of, oh, you know, we should get together.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And sort of like saying, you know, it's a sort of like Romeo and Juliet thing. It's like they each belong, you know, to various, like, they're from like the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, what would our friends say? You know, we've got
West
to
Side Story. East Side Story.
Yeah.
It is West Side Story,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, well, there's possibility there. Any more for any
I'd
more?
like to do it as West Side Story, please.
I think in those meetings, if the programme's to work at all, everyone has to be quite generous.
Yeah.
And if everybody pitches in their ideas, and if somebody comes up with an idea that's funnier than yours,
Then you say,
you have to kill them.
I'm closing the meeting now. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you all tomorrow before 12 o'clock. Okay? This is an opportunity for anybody to have a go, and I'm quite happy to read anything. So even if you think the story's gone, or that the idea's already been covered, if you've got something written, give it to me and I'll read it, and at least then I'll know that the potential is there.
When I started, I remember for about 4 weeks, I would throw up at the same time every Thursday, like a clock. And it was coming in on the Victoria line, and it was always between Green Park and Oxford Circus. And it was obviously nerves. It was very odd. And every time I get off, I was just throw up. Same people, morning. Weekending, is it? Yeah.
The thing you have to do is push yourself as much as possible, and then you make your mark. And as happened last week, we got at least 3 or 4 sketches in by non-commissioned writers, some of which were among the best stuff in the programme, and some great jokes.
I think it's false to say it bloods the young writer and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, for a certain kind of writer it does, but for other writers, like, it nearly put Douglas Adams off writing completely, I think, because he tried to work on this show and didn't actually have the style for it. And so what happened was that he sort of was left with the feeling of, well, I can't write, at all. And, he then went on to write Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Well, would you welcome a sketch based around the police having an elite officer class called the
Well, if it was funny, yes, of course. But I mean, what would be nice would be an interesting situation that would perhaps mirror that, or I comment ironically on that. And if you can't develop it any further than that observation, make it into Newsline. What you might like to think about is a newsline. I think you're talking a newsline again there. Yes. Pertinent newsline. Definitely newslines.
And now here is next week's news, the weekend. Water authorities throughout Britain warn that with the recent heavy rains, there is a danger that clean, fresh water may contaminate supplies.
Following the delivery of his lecture at the Institute of Contemporary Arts, Salman Rushdie sends back his Harold Pinter disguise.
I do remember now, when I was a non-commissioned writer, going for a drink with some friends, and then we all piled into the car and listening on this dreadful tranny for, and actually as the next week's news line, I go, mine? Not mine. Oh, it's like, no, is that mine? No, it's not mine. I did one like that, but that's not it. Oh, that's mine.
They ripped me off.
And then they'd all laugh at one, and I said, no. No, that's not mine. Well, actually, I gave him that idea.
BBC News at 11 o'clock. A 23-year-old man, Mr. Russell Bishop, has appeared before magistrates at Brighton.
All this has come in today. It's 11 o'clock, and basically, I'll put it in a pile so you can see it. This has been faxed or posted in to us. We've got a great band of devoted people who do our news lines all over the country. People who've been doing it for a long time, like Bob and Barbara Bolton, various other individuals.
I hit the wall around the 3 gag mark.
that there.
Yeah. I don't think you need that, actually. Anyway, if you do that, Robert, it's brilliant. Thanks a lot.
Hello.
Hello.
On Mary's speech.
Oh, right.
Can I explain?
Yeah?
It
Yeah.
looks incredibly long, but that's...
Matimi Sena.
Good afternoon.
Nalika Sigi Rana Torswe.
We would like to thank you for giving one such a warm welcome to your country.
Tingi Dora Akukai.
But as you haven't, we won't.
Well, you notice there's a sort of decent point at which you think, I've stretched this analogy enough. It's like sort of, it's like stabbing the corpse, isn't it? But I mean, I'm just wondering what the, you know, punchline is going to be. Let's be blunt. Let's be blunt.
Trial separation?
Yes.
I'm so frustrated that you're driving me crazy with that. Come here, look. I've had my eye on you for a long time.
Oh, Helmut, I bet you say that to all us naive country types.
Well, not anymore, I don't. I'm a reformed man these days.
Not as much as I am.
Oh, right, these are the lovers.
Yeah.
Right, right, actually, before we go on to this page, I think reunify on the first date is too unequivocally a discussion about reunification.
Okay.
So you need something that gives us the impression of reunification.
Without saying it
but-
reunify.
Yeah, but which also works as the kind of first date, so to speak, because that's a nice idea.
Try sweet talking me. Go on. Go on, Helmut, say those three little words I've been longing to hear.
Okay. All right, sir. Deutschland über alles.
Oh, Helmut. Oh, I go all weak and helpless when you say that.
I know, that's why I insist on paying for everything tonight.
Well, that's the relief. I thought we were having to go Deutsch.
Listen, we decided that because your stuff has been really good for the last few weeks, and the previous producer thought the same, we thought we'd commission you for a minute.
Oh, great.
So I don't know if that was expected or not, but one of the commission writers has actually dropped out at the moment, so there's a minute going spare. So what that means is that you come to the 11:30 meeting rather than the 1 o'clock.
Right. There you go.
And script?
Thank you.
Who's that, John?
There you go.
Well-
We'll start off with the SIG, Sal, and the credits.
It was presented by Michael Barrett, who had been nationwide sort of semi-heavyweight newsman, because we thought, you know, a comedy news program will have a real news
Dire, it has either got to get better or come off. Well, it never came off, but whether or not it got better.
This is Radio 4. You say Dom.
Dom.
At least some of Ireland's internal troubles are over. Miss Bernadette Devlin has had her appendix out. That was
Dom.
in its day.
Look, you're embarrassing
this
me.
was
Please, you people.
Dom,
This is
right.
legit.
Tory leader Edward Heath. Who's he? Oh yeah, sent a secret envoy to Ian Smith. Ronald Biggs believed to be heading to Rhodesia.
Dom.
Oh, and then we're straight into, hello, my name is Michael Barrett.
Hello, I haven't done my Dom.
Oh, sorry, Dom.
Dom, right.
Dom. Q Grams, Smoky Joe, up and down. Yes.
Weekending featured Bill Wallace, David Tate, Sally Grace and John Badley. The script was written by Barry Atkins, Peter Bainham, Robert Linford, Mike Coleman, Olaise Stepaniuk, Michael Dines, Jed Parsons, Simon Bullivant and Bill Matthews. With news lines by Peter Hickey, Richard Addison, Max Alcock, Dave Dixon, Rick Freeman, Les Fletcher, Bob and Barbara Boulton, Simon Marsh and Peter Hughes. The producer was Sinead William.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
That was another great thing about Weekend, was you didn't have to have a tag, because you just... faded off. Yes, it faded down on uproar of some kind, or arguing, bickering, and you just fade it down.
All the songs.
Weekending. On tomorrow's Late Show, Jeremy Isaacs will be face-to-face with the actress Claire Bloom. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you and good night.